Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gary Holt from Exodus and formerly from Slayer, and you're listening to The Razor's Edge.
Welcome back to The Razor's Edge. I'm joined by the amazing Asger from the awesome Vola. Thank you so much for joining me today, dude. How are you doing?
I'm very good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. We're here today to talk all about your upcoming album, Friend of a Phantom, which drops on November 1st. So, only a few weeks to go now. I've given it a few spins already, dude. It's amazing. Congratulations with it. So good. So,
Awesome to hear. Thanks.
so it's been 3 years since the release of your last album, Witness. So, when did you start work on this one?
Well, we started writing this album in the spring of 2022 and sort of wrote a big fragmented because of the pandemic. The touring for Witness became a bit scattered, and because of that, we had to sort of write when we could in between touring, and that meant that it took a bit longer than usual. But yeah, we started around that, and then we began recording the drums for the album in, I think, May last year. Yeah.
Great. How long has it been since it's been finished and ready to go? Because the first single came out a while ago now.
Yeah. Yeah, that was sort of to 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 keep momentum, that we released Paper Wolf, because we knew that this would be a bit of a longer process. Um, but yeah, I think we wrapped up the mix for this album on May 29th. Um, so it's when it's releasing, it's been done for around a half a year.
Yeah. Feels very excited to finally get it out there.
Yeah.
Cool. What can fans expect from Friend of a Phantom? What sets it apart from your previous work?
Well, I think it has a lot of similarities with Witness. Again, we work with Jacob Hansen, who mixed and mastered Witness, and he did the same with this album. Plus, he recorded the drums for it. Like he was the engineer for the drum recordings. So we gave him even more power to sort of choose the direction. But of course, he has his specific sound. So it sounds a lot like Witness, I would say. But the songwriting is a bit more diverse. I think it contains moments that are more mellow than what you will hear on Witness, and moments that are more aggressive also. This album has more harsh vocals, for example, not only from Anders Frieden in Cannibal, but also from me. So I think it sounds like Vola, but maybe a broader spectrum of sounds than what you heard on the last album.
Cool. So when you sit down to write any album, basically, do you have an idea ahead of time of where you want the music to go, or does it come to you more naturally through the process?
For this album, we really didn't have a direction. We had that for Witness, I think, because at least for me, I very much wrote into the sound of Jacob Hansen, because I knew what he is good at creating in terms of mixing. So that was what I had in mind when writing songs. This time it felt a bit more open, like having Witness out of our system, and it actually made it difficult to find a way in. Um, and I was searching a lot in the beginning and doing some experiments that just ended up nowhere in terms of the songwriting. And eventually, I just decided that I wasn't going to follow a specific like dogma for how the song should sound, um, but just focus on creating as good songs as possible and creating something that we were excited about. So that became sort of the billboard for this album. Just the best we can write, and it doesn't matter how it sounds genre-wise. It just has to excite us.
Yeah, amazing. Given how your songs all sound so huge, there's a lot of scope going on. So how do these songs come to be? What's like the first spark of inspiration typically for when you're writing music?
Um, it can, for example, be a guitar riff, and oftentimes it will, uh, like if it's one of my riffs, it will just appear in my consciousness. It won't necessarily be when I'm sitting with the guitar. Um, so it's actually often more of a like a rhythmic idea. I think that the influence we have from Meshuggah plays a big role here because they're so groove based. So it's often a groove that appears, and then it's just building the songs from there. Like I really like if there's like very few ideas in a song, but that the ideas that are present are just really like harvested as much as possible. Um, so if a song goes from an intro riff to a verse, I really like if the verse contains um, like many of the trademarks that the intro riff had, and then going from the verse to the chorus, I like if there's something recognizable in that transition. So just constantly like diving into how much we can explore this one idea. That's I think that's where many of our songs come from, and that's something that just excites us doing.
Yeah, great. What about the electronic side of things? Because my metalhead brain, I could only ever write guitar, bass, drums. Try and get me to electronic stuff, it's going to be a disaster. But so when does that element come in? Does that come in later on when the song is being developed, or is it done in conjunction with the guitar?
It's um it's done in conjunction often. Like we're fortunate to have a keyboard player in the band, and we have this role, sort of this rule that like there can only be one guitar layer um, in each part of the song, but we can add as many keyboard layers as we want. So like if we feel like the production is missing something, it's just about adding some kind of a synthesizer or like an ambient layer or piano or something forth. So it's a very important building brick for us, and it just allows for a lot of variation also. Like if verse one of a song has been very intense and guitar based, I think it's nice if verse two is like more mellow and maybe driven by electronic sounds. So it's also to create more dynamics. And like we grew up on a lot of bands that had a lot of electronics in their music. Um, like especially the early 2000s in Denmark had a wave of like electro rock bands that have influenced us a lot. So I think we take some inspiration from there.
Yeah, definitely. What I love about you guys' music is that while you've got all the head pounding guitar and electronic stuff going on, and it makes that really, really heavy, your vocal work gives it a lot of emotional range. There's a big emotional scope in your music. Is that dichotomy really important to you to get the light and the dark in there?
Yeah, I think so. It's like there has to be sort of an emotional reward to when I sing the songs. um, and like a feeling of peace when I like dive into these subject matters that the lyrics contain, and it's basically just to fulfill every sort of desire we have when creating music. Like we love moving along to a heavy riff that feels good in the body, um, but at the same time, it's it feels important to get that comfort of expressing emotions and yeah, finding peace in that process. Um, so doing both feels like the right package for us.
Yeah, awesome, awesome, cool. So I'm sure you have noticed over your career that Vola's albums are always extremely well received critically. Usually, Witness was praised all over the place. I think it made it onto some best of the year lists as well. As amazing as I'm sure that is to experience, does that put pressure on your mind when you go into writing a follow-up album? Do you often feel like a lot is expected of your upcoming music because people have loved what's come before so much?
Yeah, I did feel it a little bit for the first time when writing this album because Witness definitely like made a bigger impact than our albums before that. Um, so it has crossed my mind like what will people think now after having heard Witness, which for me like fulfilled many of the dreams I have about how an album can be, like both in terms of songwriting and production. Um, but it's something I've tried not to focus on because like at the end of the day, if we are fans of the music we create, uh, we're satisfied, and hopefully if we connect with it, the audience will connect with it too. So yeah, thoughts about like nervousness in terms of following up an album should just become noise in your head that you don't focus on. That's my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, fair enough. Sounds like the healthy way to do it to me.
Yeah.
Cool. So, we mentioned him already. I've got to ask, how did you get Anders to feature on Cannibal?
Well, we had met him just like a few months earlier in Los Angeles when we played there on our USA tour in 2023. When he and Bjorn from In Flames came backstage and talked with us, and we found out that they were big Vola fans. So that was mind blowing to say the least. Um, like I grew up on In Flames, and they've been a huge inspiration. So that was big for me to meet them. Um, and then we got home from that tour, and we started really diving into recording Friend of Phantom, and the talk about guest vocals on Cannibal began to flourish. And like I had done some screams on the demo, but really thought the song could use like the types of screams that Anders can create. And yeah, having just met him, it felt obvious to reach out to him. That was something we very quickly agreed on. And yeah, he was up for doing it and recorded his tracks in Sweden, and yeah, flew to Denmark to film the music video with us.
Brilliant.
So we also got to hang out a bit.
Yeah.
So it felt very smooth, and we're definitely proud of having him on a track.
Yeah, I'll bet. I mean, that song's out already. So people, if they haven't heard it yet, please go check it out because it's such a good song.
Thanks.
No worries. I have heard and read in interviews with yourself, you're very open about the musical influences that you've had that went into making the music for Vola. Off the back
Yeah.
of getting Anders for this album, are there any other key influences that you would love to collaborate with one day, hypothetically?
Good question. Hmm. Yeah, I mean, like a dream collab would be James Hetfield, for example. Like,
I mean, that's everyone's, I'm sure.
exactly. Like he was the main reason I wanted to be a guitarist and a singer. So just in terms of making dreams come true, that would be amazing. Um, in terms of more realistic choices, that's a really good question. It would be nice if it's someone within another genre, I think. Like I really like Billie Eilish, for example. I love her like vocal approach where she's almost whispering. And it's often pop music, but it's so dark. And in her darkness, I definitely hear uh, connections with metal, for example. So yeah, that would be awesome. I think that's my
Yeah.
her and James Hetfield, both difficult people to
Yeah,
reach.
I was gonna say I wasn't expecting Billie Eilish, but now I want that more than anything else. So
Yeah,
forget James Hetfield.
both will
Anyway,
have both on a track. Why
oh,
not?
that will blow up the internet. Billie Eilish, James Hetfield, Vola, brilliant.
Yeah.
Cool. So, as well as all this new album and everything, you're about to begin one hell of a tour. It's how many shows? Like at least more than 20, at least.
Yeah, good question. I haven't counted them actually, but the first one is November 1st and the last one is the 30th. Um, so 20 something.
Yeah. Do you have to mentally prepare yourself for a tour like that?
Um, yeah, I usually like touring a lot. Like it fits my daily rhythm very well. Um, like I usually gather energy throughout the day, so I'm not an early bird. So like having something to do in the evening fits me very well.
Mhm.
Uh, and then yeah, like you can usually get a good amount of sleep on a tour bus, I think. So yeah, so being away like that fits me very well. But of course, this time I have a little boy at home, so it will be uh, it will be difficult to be away from him and my girlfriend, of course. So yeah, I'll have to prepare for that, I think. And there will be lots of FaceTiming along from the tour bus.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. Of course, though, there are a couple days in the UK for people here that want to go see it, which is very exciting. You've done a fair few shows in the UK over the years, as I understand it. How do you find playing over here?
It's awesome. It, like from when we released our debut album, there seems to have been an interest for what we do. So it seems like there's been like a loyal fan base over there for quite some time now, and it's yeah, some of the most energetic shows we do on tour is usually in the UK. So I look forward a lot to that.
Amazing. Going off of that, though, I have to ask a extremely specific question.
Yes.
Back in 2022, you guys played with Devin Townsend at the Royal Albert Hall here in the UK. I just have to ask how that experience was because that venue, you guys, Devin Townsend, I can't imagine how mind-blowing that must have been. So, what was that like?
Yeah, that was amazing. And he's another artist that I've been listening to for many years. So like another hero that I got to meet. And even though we didn't speak for a long time, just chatting a bit with him was very gratifying for sure. Um, yeah, and then just like the venue itself, it's like I think often when you see a building from the outside, and are amazed about it, you can get a bit disappointed going in. But this I think this place is as amazing inside as from the outside, even more inside, I guess. And yeah, there was just a huge crowd. I guess most of them came for Devon, but we just imagined they were there for us. So it was mind blowing to stand there, and it's a gig that often pops up in my head when I think back on what we've done. So yeah, that was a big experience.
Yeah, incredible. It's like that. It's one of the the venues in the UK, and whenever a metal band plays there, people just lap it up because it doesn't get a lot of metal bands there. I think Opeth have played there a couple of times, and then Devi obviously, and you guys. But yeah, it's like one of the big venues in the UK that you want to get. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
So your upcoming tour will take you to almost the end of this year. So if it's not too early to ask, have you got anything planned for us for 2025?
Yeah, there will be more touring. We plan to do a lot of touring for this album. I can't spoil anything at this point. But both touring and festivals for sure.
Cool. Watch this space, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. And lastly, I know the new album isn't quite out yet, but I love to ask, is there any new music lurking in your head yet for what's coming up next?
That's a good question. I think actually my head is totally empty for music right now.
Just thinking about the tour.
Yeah, exactly. And just we recently had some rehearsals. So what I'm focused on now is actually learning to play our music. Like when we record, like many others, it's just layers. So I'll sing one day and I'll play guitar another day. So now I have to learn how to do both at the same time. So that's keeping me busy at the moment.
Yeah, I'll bet. Cool. Amazing. That's all I've got. Thank you so much, dude, for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Likewise. Thanks for taking the time.
No worries. For everyone watching, Vola's new album, Friend of a Phantom, drops, as I said, on November 1st. So make sure you check it out. It is excellent. I've been Chris with The Razor's Edge. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Thanks for listening. Make sure you keep up to date with all of our interviews by subscribing to our channel. For all the latest news, reviews, interviews, and more, head over to our website, www.therazorsedge.rocks.